What's good, YouTube? Fairdale Kings coming back at you again with another EA Sports College Football 25 video. If you guys are enjoying these videos, please make sure that you're hitting like and subscribe. Comment down below. Just want to make sure everyone understands subscribing is totally free. It doesn't cost you a dime. It just helps the YouTube algorithms to ensure that my videos are reaching more people. So with that being said, let's get into this. This video is going to be the second part of a series. We're going to focus on teams that you can use for rebuild. And this is going to focus on the schools from the group of 5. So you're looking at teams from the MAC, from the Mountain West, the Sun Belt Conference, the American Conference, as well as Conference USA. That's the group that we're going to be looking at with these and focusing on. The criteria is they have to be projected to finish in the bottom 4 of their conference. So they've got to be a cellar dweller. And these are some of the worst teams in college football, without a doubt. And understand this, it's going to be more difficult than ever to try to turn these programs around. You know, in 2014, you can take all your points, your max points, throw them all at every player every week, and you were going to get to cherry pick whoever you wanted. You know, it didn't take but 2 or 3 years to totally rebuild programs and turn them around. This time, it's going to be a process. It's going to be tough. You're going to get frustrated. Hopefully you stay the course. But after watching the EA Sports College Football 25 Dynasty Deep Dive last week, they explained how they basically want to make sure that the elite teams stay elite. So they put up some guardrails, and let me explain what I mean by that. So during the preseason, the elite programs, the 5-star programs, are going to have access to 1,000 hours for recruiting. 1-star programs, which is what we're going to be dealing with, 1 and 2 stars. 1-star programs are restricted to 350 hours for the preseason. And you're like, FK, what are you talking about? Break this down for me. Explain. All right. So if I'm a 5-star program like Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Texas, and you can recruit players for the maximum of 50 hours a week. That means that I can take 20 players and recruit those 20 players for the max of 50 hours a week. So that would give me my 1,000 hours. On the flip side, though, if you're a 1-star program and you want to recruit players for the maximum of 50 hours to try to stay on course with the big boys, you can only go after 7 players. 7 times 50 is 350. So as you can see, the teams with the more resources, the high prestige teams, are going to be at an advantage. And then if you take these lower level teams, you're going to be at a huge disadvantage. So you've got to be smarter with how you recruit. You've got to pick and choose your battles and how you're going to attack your recruiting board. Make sure that you're staying on top of it, making the promises that you can keep, and avoid, lying to players and they end up transferring. I mean, they're going to transfer at the end of the day anyway, but, at least you can try to limit some of the teams and players that are leaving your system. So with all that being said, let's get into this video. The first team we're going to be talking about is going to be the Kent State Golden Flashes. They're number 5 on my list. Now, Kent State is in the MAC. The other team I was thinking about in this spot was, Akron. But I went the course of Kent State. They have really struggled. It's going to be a monumental rebuild, but they do have, some key players that you can use. Athlon Sports has them projected to finish 12th in the MAC, 132 overall nationally. Lindy's has them at 9th, 118 nationally. Phil still has them tied for 10th with Akron and Buffalo, so tied for last, and 132 nationally. Now, last year they went 1-11. Last bowl appearance was in 2021. They do play in Dick Stadium, which is just your prototypical small stadium in the MAC. Nothing to get too excited about. It's not going to help bump up your facility score for sure. Now, quarterback, they have Tommy Ulatowski. He threw for 737 yards last year, 7 touchdowns, 2 picks. Did also run for 89 yards and a touchdown, so he's not the most mobile quarterback. But but he's not bad as far as accuracy. At running back, you're going to have Kai Thomas. He is projected to finish third team All-MAC. Last season, he sat out because this will be his third team in 4 years. So in 2022, he played at Kansas, which he's originally from Kansas area. He had 162 rushing yards. In 2021, though, he was at Minnesota and ran for 824 yards and 6 touchdowns in the Big Ten. So the kid does have some talent. He just struggled to crack the depth chart at Kansas. So everything got settled. Now he's back looking for some playing time. He's going to do it in the MAC. He's going to give you at least an option at running back for sure. They also returned Gavin Garcia at running back, who ran for 544 yards last year and 2 touchdowns. So he was the leading running back. So he also returns. At receiver, you have Christian McCray. He's projected to be first team All-MAC. So a lot of talent here. 41 catches, 610 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. They also have another receiver on the outside in Luke Floria. He's projected to be third team All-MAC, 39 catches, 405 yards, and 4 touchdowns. The last player I have to speak about is a defensive player. It's going to be Dallas Branch. He's a cornerback. He's projected to be third team All-MAC. Last season, he played at San Diego State before he transferred. He was preseason first team All-Mountain West last year, but things just didn't work out. Now, as far as Kent State's schedule, they're at Pitt, at Tennessee, at Penn State, at Bowling Green, and at Miami of Ohio. Now, one thing that the MAC has done to kind of try to get a team into the playoffs is they've gone to a pod system, which means there'll be 3 teams and 4 pods. Fortunately for Kent State, they have Akron and Buffalo. So the 3 worst teams in the MAC are all in the same pod. What that means is they're going to be guaranteed to play each other every year. Now, the strengths of this team is going to be the running back and wide receiver positions. They're ranked number 7 in the MAC. Weakness is at linebacker core. As far as recruiting, they're numbered 89 by Rivals. 24/7 had them picked at number 97. And like I alluded to earlier, they added 16 players in the transfer portal. So they've got a lot of new faces on that roster up and down. But, they'll be middle of the pack, middle to lower of the pack. But those 5 teams that they play out of conference, they're going to get smacked. I mean, they're making some guaranteed money, but it's not going to help you in Dynasty when you've got to run a gauntlet like that for sure. Next team is going to be my number 4 team, which is Nevada from the Mountain West. Athlon has them at 12th in the conference, 120 nationally. Lindy's has them at 11th in the conference, 112 nationally. Phil still also has them at 12th, 130 nationally. Last year, Nevada finished 2-10. Their last bowl game was in 2021. They play in, I want to say it's Mackey Stadium. Yeah, so it's not bad. You got the mountain scenery in the background. It's not going to be top-notch facilities, but it's not bad for the Mountain West for sure. At quarterback, they've got Brendan Lewis. He threw for 1,313 yards last year, 2 touchdowns, but threw 6 picks. He is a dual-threat quarterback, though. He ran for 495 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now, he is going to be challenged, though. Brock Purdy, who plays for the 49ers, this is his younger brother, Chubba Purdy. And I'm familiar with him because he originally had verbally committed to the University of Louisville and ended up going to Florida State. Stayed at Florida State for a year or 2, transferred to Nebraska. Now he's transferred from Nebraska to Nevada, and he's going to compete immediately for playing time. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out. But Chubba Purdy is also on this roster and gives you another option at the quarterback position. At running back, they've brought in Patrick Garwo. He is a senior transfer from Boston College. He started 26 games at BC. Last year, he ran for 270 yards and a touchdown, so he's looking for a fresh start. At wide receiver is Tez Braham. Cortez, transferred from West Virginia. He's kind of struggled. He's looking for a fresh start. He only had 3 catches for 17 yards. But it does give you a guy who played in the power conference who's going down a level. So, you can be excited about that. Also on the roster, if you're familiar with Nate Burleson, who played in the NFL for several years, his son is a redshirt freshman. He didn't play last year, but they do have Nate Burleson II on the team. So, I'll be interested to see how he shakes out. He's lower on the depth chart, but he might be someone that, has a little bit of skill. He's just on the smaller side, just like his father. At linebacker, they have Drew Watts. Last year, he had 60 tackles. And then in the secondary, they add Kyton Crawford, who's projected to be fourth team All-Mountain West. He had 24 tackles last year at Texas. He has played in 46 games at Texas, but, they're always recruiting over you. So he's like, hey, so I'm going to play my senior year. Let me find some place where I know I'm going to get some clock. And let me go out and let me show out. So good luck to him this year. He's going to have a fresh start. Now, as far as the schedule's concerned, they've got SMU at home, Fresno State. They go to Boise State. They have Air Force at home, and they also go to UNLV. So they have pretty tough schedule. I think they only have 3 Mountain West home games this year, and they have the toughest Mountain West schedule because they play the top 4 teams. So they didn't do them a favor with that schedule for sure. Strength of the team is going to be running backs. They have the number 5 running back group. Weakness, the D-line, they're number 12. Nationally, I want to say they're lower 90s, 100 as far as, rankings are concerned for recruiting. They also, and that's just because they really hit the transfer portal hard. They added 23 players through the portal. So that's, a big thing. They got a lot of new faces there at Nevada. Another team I was thinking about, though, was, New Mexico's out there, and I was really leaning toward San Jose State, but I went ahead and went with Nevada because they've really struggled here more recently than even San Jose State. So I think it'd be a tougher rebuild and put you in a tougher spot geographically to recruit. So, maybe you can get into, California directly to the west of you since the bordering state and use that as a crutch to help rebuild that team a little bit sooner. So that's why I went with them. San Jose State's in California as well. You could go either or. I just think Nevada's a tougher rebuild if you're looking for a challenge. Next team, proud tradition. University of Louisville, we used to play on back in the day. Brett Favre played for them 30-plus years ago. I don't know how in the heck they end up in the Sun Belt. They've been dropping down lower and lower in conferences. This is a really, good team over the years, and they've struggled lately. But Southern Miss, I love me some Golden Eagles for sure. Athlon Sports has them picked to finish last in the Sun Belt West. Lindsay's has them picked to finish 5th. Phil Still also has them picked to finish last. Nationally, 112, 108, and 115. Their record last season was 3-9. Their last bowl game was in 2022. They do play in M.M. Roberts Stadium, but it's known more as being called The Rock. So that's it's a tough place. We've played, University of Louisville used to play Southern Miss frequently. So, I'm very familiar with their facilities. At quarterback, they added transfer Tate Rodemaker, who was, God dog it, he was going to be the starter last year after Jordan Travis got hurt at Florida State. And then he suffered a concussion. He would have been, if they had one more day, he would have been ready to play in the conference championship game. But, after all that happened with so many players opting out, he also decided he was going to leave and get a fresh start at Southern Miss. So he's a junior, transferred in from Florida State. Now, last year he did throw for 510 yards and 5 touchdowns, but he's a big-time, recruit and get for Southern Miss. At running back, they have Rodriguez Clark, better known as Drake. He's preseason 4th team All-Sun Belt. Last year he ran for 429 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's also a former transfer from Memphis. At receiver, you have Ty Mims, preseason 4th team Sun Belt, 39 catches, 445 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I don't have him listed, but offensive tackle Dante Lucas gives you another cog up front. He's 4th team All-Sun Belt, has 36 starts throughout his career. He's also been at Florida State and South Alabama, so this is his 3rd team. On the defensive line, at defensive end, you have Jaleel Clements, 3rd team preseason Sun Belt, 31 tackles, 5.5 sacks last year. At nickelback, you have Dylan Lawrence, who is 4th team Sun Belt, 78 tackles. He led the team. He's a former transfer from Mississippi State. And then not listed, defensive tackle Jalen Williams, 4th team Sun Belt, 30 tackles. He was also 4th team Sun Belt and 22. Now, as far as Southern Miss is concerned, they play at Kentucky this year. They're at James Madison, which that's going to be a very tough game for them. And they have Marshall at home. Now, as far as recruiting, they were number 75 in Rivals and number 74 in 24/7 Sports. Their strength is going to be at quarterback and in the secondary. Their quarterback position is ranked number 6. I mean, that's what happens when you add a transfer from Florida State. And the weakness is going to be receiver and the defensive line. Both those units are picked last in the Sun Belt. They added 17 players to the transfer portal. So that's where we're at with Southern Miss. Next team, good God, I would be excited if I'm using one of these teams. This is one that I'm definitely leaning toward. Navy football. They're going back to I guess the flex triple option. So it's going to be a little bit of wrinkle. They added the former OC from Kennesaw State, their head coach, formerly at Kennesaw State, and he's been at Navy now for a minute. They're trying to change things up. They're always at a disadvantage because you can't go out and recruit high-profile kids to come play at Navy. So you've got to do some different things, and the option offense is one of them. And, you have to like what Navy's trying to do. They're trying to get back and win a conference championship. So Athlon Sports has them picked to finish 10th in the conference, 104 nationally. Lindy's has them 6th in the conference, so a lot of respect from Lindy's, 96 nationally. And Phil still has them picked to finish 11th, 106 nationally. But Phil still does see them, maybe winning, if things go right, winning a couple more games and moving up for sure. Last season, they finished 5-7. Their last bowl appearance, though, was in 2019. As far as where they play at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium. They'll also play some neutral site games against Notre Dame and Army. But, they've got a nice, decent field. They've got that checkerboard end zone. I know that they've got Go Navy or Navy at the top of the bleachers. So as the stands maybe empty out with the dynamic attendance, you might see some of that. But this attrition, Navy used to be bad. Them and Army back in the 30s and 40s were proud traditions, and that's where a lot of the top players in the country used to play at, was at these programs. They've been on hard times lately, but Navy's trying to get back to the forefront and get back on top of things in the conference. At quarterback, they have Blake Horvath. Last year, he threw for 82 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he ran for 183. Navy's not known for throwing the ball, that's for sure. It's not a strength of their team. At running back is Alec Texa, preseason third team AAC. He ran for 758 yards and 5 touchdowns last season. At receiver, you have Eli Heidenreich, third team all AAC, 19 catches, 382 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Not listed will be offensive tackle Connor McMahon. He's first team all AAC. He's played in 33 games, so I didn't have him pictured. Also, defensive end Justin Reed is second team all AAC with 49 tackles and 4.5 sacks. Defensive tackle Landon Robinson's third team AAC, 28 tackles, 4 sacks. So they've got stack up some players as far as preseason accolades. At linebacker, they have Colin Ramos, first team all AAC, 110 tackles last year. This guy is a tackling machine at the second level to help, try to stifle the run. And at safety, they have Ray Lane. He's first team all AAC. Last season, he had 66 tackles, 4 picks, and 8 pass breakups. So this cat is all over the field. Now, as far as the schedule is concerned, they have Memphis. They play at MetLife Stadium against Notre Dame, which is a neutral site game. They're at South Florida, and they play Tulane at home. The strength of this team is the running back group. They're the number 2 running back unit in the American Conference. Weaknesses, though, is the wide receiver core. And when you don't throw the ball, it's hard to get guys to go there. But, you think with some of the guys being smaller in stature, they ought to at least be able to get a couple receivers, but it's hard to convince guys to go play at Army and Navy and Air Force when they're never going to see the ball. You're basically going out there and blocking every down. So it's not fun to play in that kind of offense. But they're trying to be a little bit more diverse this year with this new option that they're using. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, spinning wing T and some of those elements involved in this offense. So I'm kind of excited. I would love to use them. Now, this next team, and look, I'm wearing a Western Kentucky football shirt because I can't find the right swag for Kennesaw State, but Kennesaw State's going to be the next team. And I really wish I did have some KSU swag, some Kennesaw State swag. They don't have a champion shirt. And I've got 84 shirts I bought from Fanatics that all look this same style. So the reason why I'm wearing this one is I am going to go down to Bowling Green, Kentucky, and I think it's October 30th. And I'm going to watch Kennesaw State in person play at Western. So it's about an hour and a half drive for me. I'll leave as soon as work's over. I'm going to get some friends. We're going to go down to Western and watch it. I had some players I used to send to Western play and some of my buddies that played at Western. So very familiar with that facility. It's going to be fun, man. I want to welcome Kennesaw State to 1A football, to you know, FBS football. It'll be nice to see them in person. On my way to Orlando, I passed right through Kennesaw, Georgia, and their stadium is right there. So I saw their facility. It's not bad. So anyway, the number one team that I would use, and we'll get in this video now, is going to be Kennesaw State. Now, this is their first year officially after last year being a transition year, but this is their first year in FBS. Across the board, they're picked to finish last in Conference USA. They're also the consensus pick at 134. So everyone, Athlon, Lindy's, Phil Steele, all has them projected to be the worst team in FBS football. Now, last season they went 3-6, but they did have a very watered down schedule. They didn't play for a conference title or anything like that at their lower level. But they also were very smart. Coach Bohannon is a very smart guy, and I say that for this reason. They redshirted a ton of their players. By only playing a 9-game schedule, they took it upon themselves that they played all those guys 4 games to get them some level of experience and brought back a ton of players to have ready to go at it this year as they move up to big boy football. And you have to take your hat off to them and tip your hat. Since they came on the scene in 2015, they dominated the Big South Conference. And, you know, they moved to Atlantic Sun and they kind of struggled, but now they're taking another jump. But they're in a recruiting hotbed. Atlanta, Georgia is a recruiting hotbed. So they're going to have, you know, a chance. Of course, they've never been to a bowl game. This is their first year in the FBS. They play in Fifth Third Bank Stadium, which is a multi-purpose stadium. It holds about 10,000. They use this for lacrosse. They play soccer games here. But it's not bad. I mean, I found this picture on the internet. It's a nice, comfy kind of environment. It's not too terribly, large for sure. Like I said, only holds 10,000. But it's going to make do for what they're doing right now in their first year in Conference USA. So your facilities are going to be terrible, obviously. At quarterback, they have Davis Bryson. He was only 2 for 11 passing last year for 53 passing yards, but he is a dual threat. At quarterback, he ran for 215 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in 4 games. He started one of those games, so they gave him the keys. They're going to go as he goes. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Now at running back, they have Michael Benefield. He is 4th team preseason Conference USA. He ran for 546 yards and 6 touchdowns in 6 starts last year. He's one of the few guys that actually played 6 of the 9 games. At wide receiver, they have Gabriel Binyard, 4th team preseason Conference USA. Last season, he had 14 catches, 333 receiving yards, and 4 touchdowns in his 4 starts before they redshirted him. At linebacker is his brother, Garland Binyard. He's preseason 2nd team Conference USA. Last season, he had 19 tackles. He's another guy who he had 4 starts before they redshirted him. But he's back at linebacker to man the middle. At safety, they have Ty Hallam. fourth team preseason Conference USA. Last season, he had 11 tackles in his 3 starts before they redshirted him. As far as the schedule, they're at Texas San Antonio, which is a very tough game. Phil still has them projected to win the conference. They're top 3 across the board, no matter who you look at. So they're a tough team in Conference USA. They've got Jacksonville State, Jack State, challenging already in Conference USA. University of Louisville has Jack State coming here, and we're playing them early in the season, so I'll get to see them firsthand as well. They played Liberty. Liberty went undefeated and went into the Fiesta Bowl and played against Oregon last year. They've got Liberty at home. They do go to Western Kentucky, which I alluded to, on October 30th. I'll be attending that game. And then they also final out with FIU. Now, as far as their recruiting goes, they're not even listed on Rivals. I don't even know if Rivals knows that they're an FBS school, so they're not even listed, which is kind of ridiculous. 24/7 Sports has them ranked 130 out of 134. The strength of this team is the defensive line. Their D-line is number 3 in Conference USA. The weakness, though, is the quarterback position and wide receivers. Both those units are picked to finish last. So they say that they don't have talent at quarterback or receiver, so that's definitely a weakness. You got to hit the portal. You've got to go recruit some freshmen, JUCOs, to bring in some talent. Something else to consider is Kennesaw State switched from the triple option to pistol option in 2023. Now, they reverted back because they did struggle, but now they've got all these guys, all these pieces, so they're going to run the pistol option. And what that means is you're going to see a lot of 12 personnel. If you're using Kennesaw State and you want to play to your strengths, you're going to be in a lot of 1 running back, 2 tight end sets, which means you'll have 2 receivers, 2 tight ends, 1 running back. So it's going to be intriguing. I mean, you're gonna struggle. You're going to struggle mightily. But the benefit, and we looked at pipelines and all that stuff, is that you've got Atlanta, Georgia to pull from. I mean, Kennesaw is just north Atlanta. Kennesaw, Marietta, Atlanta. And if they're saying that Atlanta is a huge pipeline, like they alluded to, kind of like what Florida and South Florida, East Texas, hey, if you're based in Atlanta and you've got that as a recruiting hotbed, check that box. And you get, if I'm going to start a dynasty and I'm going to, want to rebuild, let's use a team that's never been to a bowl game. This their inaugural season in Conference USA. Their first year playing big boy football. Let's go for it. Go for the gusto, man. Take Kennesaw State. They've got some nice uniforms. So you got some different swag that you can wear. I think they have a sponsorship with Adidas. So that's another bonus. You got some nice uniforms. You might be getting your teeth kicked in, but at least you look good doing it. So that's it. We'll probably get some other reaction videos. I know there's some more information coming out this week, but that's the deep dive on this, guys. We're less than a week away now. We're less than a week away. I mean, it's 4:00 next Monday. We're going to have the game in hand. We'll be playing it. I mean, we're going to start downloading it this weekend. So get excited, guys. It's right around the corner. We got to watch gameplay videos of today. So that's it, man. Fairdale Kings, and I'm out.